This is an example of an image map from Nicole Frank's class, and in New Blackboard there's not a tweak feature as there was in old Blackboard for image maps to work. And so I spent a good amount of time trying to tweak this thing to make sure that I could get it to run again just like it did in old Blackboard. And so I wanted to share with you the process. So the first step is to get your image. This is the complete image. And then you have to start cutting it up into pieces. So I can use a snip tool if you're using a PC that's got Windows 7 on it. This isn't part of your tool set. Or you can use a tool like Snagit. So if you use Snagit, you can use Snagit, and if you don't, you can use Snip Tool. So I'm going to use the Snip Tool, and all I have to do is start highlighting and cutting these pieces, and I kind of follow the image a little bit here so I can make sure I'm doing it exactly the way it's set up. And then save these as Unit 1. So if I can file save these as a JPEG image. So this would be Unit 1A. I've already got these saved. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So I've got all of these images now. You can see them right down here in my picture library. See, there they all are. There's 5 separate images, units 1, 2, 3, 4, and then she had an additional other things you will need. And the next step then is to go into Blackboard. Let me head into Blackboard, get into my class here. I'm going to come into assignments, and I'm going to build content and create an item. So this is image map. I'm going to go ahead and have that be white so it doesn't show up. So apply. Okay. We should still add a title. Periods are not acceptable because of screen readers. So we want to be compliant with the ADA requirements. So you should always label it correctly. And then I'm going to create a table. I know I need 3 columns and 2 rows. So I'm going to go ahead and hit insert. Leave a border there because it's going to save you time and energy. Trust me on this one. So now I have, this would be my unit 1, my unit 2, my unit 3, my unit 4. And I'm going to merge these 2 cells so that it is my other things that you may need to use. So I'm just going to come over, I've highlighted both of those cells, come over to my text editor and merge those table cells. The next step is to add images to each of these cells. So I'm going to click in my first cell. You can see I'm blinking right there. And I'm going to add an image. I'm going to browse my computer to find that image. I know that it's in my pictures library. Unit 1. Always add a description. And then there is my Unit 1 picture. I'm going to come over into the next area, and this is where it kind of gets tricky because it's hard to see where you are. So right now I can see that I'm in the second cell here, and I could expand this if I wanted to, but then I'm going to have to change things around. So I'm going to come in and insert Unit 2. Browse my computer. And then I'm going to come into this last one, and this will help me tremendously getting all of these in so that I can add those other images. So browse my computer, other things I need, insert. And now you can see that right now this looks really sloppy because, let me go into full screen here, there's all this white space. Don't worry, we're going to fix that in just a little bit. The first step though is to continue to add our images. So I'm going to do image 3 and then image 4. So I'm just going to speed through these. Make sure I'm catching everything. Unit 4. Alright, now notice that everything is lining up so far, but I still have these borders. Do you see them? That's what makes it look like it's a grid. And so I need to take out those borders. And I can either do that in the HTML, where it says border equals 1. I can change that to a 0 and update. And then I can size up some of these cells. So if I wanted to reduce the size in these cells, I can do that. Or I can leave it the way that it is. And this is just playing and trying to get everything to fit exactly the way you like it. If I don't want to edit the HTML, I'm going to go ahead and turn this back into 1. I can click on this cell, the border where the crosshairs are here. I can right click on it and insert and edit my table. I want to make sure that there is no cell padding, so I'm going to put a 0 there, and I'm going to put a 0 here, and then I'm going to update. Now what I can do with these images is resize them just a little bit, just by dragging on these corners, so that they overlap a little bit more. I can play with this to my heart's content to make it look exactly how I want it to go. Make sure when you are creating your maps that you are using images that are easy to cut up into pieces. I can also format my pictures by right clicking and going into this images and coming into appearance. So I'm going to say I want this to be 353. An alignment to the top. What that allows it to do is you can see it's filling up this space better, and some of this is just general tweaking that you'll need to do in order for all of this to work. All of the numbers should be the same, because if they're not, then it's going to throw these things off. So let's go ahead in here and see what this image size is. 353 by 301. You might have to uncheck the constrain thing to do a manual override of what this size is, and then update. So now you can see it's starting to piece together in a closer matching way. And again, you're going to play with this until you are satisfied. The next step is, once you've got everything looking the way that you want it to look, is we're going to turn each of these into hyperlinks that will link directly to your unit or however you have your class set up. So from here, I've got my image activated. You can see the little squares around it, and I'm just going to add a hyperlink. I want this to open in this window or this frame, and the way that you do this is, first of all, let's get out of this. I need to create a unit so I can show you how to do this. content folder. Let's name this Unit 1. Submit. So here's my image map. We're going to edit this. And now link my Unit 1 to my Unit 1 image. I'm going to have this open in another window over here because I need to have two windows open. So here is my Unit 1 folder. It's at the very bottom of all of this. And I'm going to need to hold down my Control key and click on this unit link. It opens it up in a new tab. This is the specific URL to the Unit 1 folder. I'm going to copy this URL, and in my link area where my image is, I'm going to paste that URL here in the link path and then insert. What happens then is when I submit my image map, scroll all the way down to find it again. Now when I click on this, it looks funky in this view, but I want to show you what it looks like in edit mode off. So you can see as a student view, you don't have all of that weird stuff. And remember, I haven't resized everything. But now I can click anywhere on this image for Unit 1, and it takes me directly to the Unit 1 folder. So if I back up, I would do the exact same process for Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4, and the other things that were needed, using this image map as an example. That's how the process works for all image maps. You will have to try to make them less creative and more boxy so that they work, but remember, you can still use it as much as you choose to. The process just needs to be a little bit different.